Hello, giờ tên anh đâm chiêu mở. Tôi đang giữ English medium in cần sim ding ron anh giờ tên nụ lepa ule nào ngay từ Paul. In đọc thể tiêm điện kalau som điệu American Chin American young generation. Welcome for the first discussion of American Chin young generation, whatever challenges we are facing. So the first thing, we're going to speak in English. And we're going to tell who we are and then proceed to the question. Please let us hear from you who you are, what your name or whatever you want to tell us, the audience. Who want to go first? Lady first?
I can go.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Mita. I am currently working. I'm a member of CEBC. I study psychology and graduated in 2018. I am now pursuing higher education in social work.
Good to see you.
Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Parr. I'm going to my last year at the University of Washington. I'm studying American Ethnic Studies as well as education. I'm from Seattle. Oh, I think I already said that. Yeah, really excited to be a part of this opportunity. Thank you.
Next. Pansy, your mic, please on the mic. We didn't hear it. Yeah.
While she's figuring that out, I'll introduce myself. So to pass my time, my name is Vanta Tung, currently living in Indianapolis, Indiana, currently majoring in psychology and studying military science as well. And I'm excited to be part of this panel and to hear from all of you and your opinions on how things are. Thank you.
I guess it's my turn. Hi everyone, I'm James. I'm from Indianapolis too. I studied psychology at Taylor University. I graduated this fall. Yeah, I mean this spring. And I'm currently taking a gap year, and I'm gonna pursue my grad school next fall. That's the plan as of right now. Yep, thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Peter. I'm the oldest here. I'm not the panelist. I will be listening and credit to the young generation. So I graduated school a while back. I'm almost retired. So cheers everyone.
Pansy, your mic's okay? All right, thank you for sharing who you are. And the reason we do is especially young generation, there are a lot of problems, challenges, and opportunities in this land. And I myself been here in school for more than 10 years in America. So we just want to speak it out, us and share where we can help each other. And there are a lot more, they lost the way. And while trying to figure out the best, in a lot of young generation lost the way. So we just want to speak it out, how we face the problem, how we overcome the challenges. So the first question tonight is, what is the number one challenges you have faced as young Chin American in America? There are a lot of things we don't know. We can't help you. We don't know you. So we just want to hear from you. Now, your number one challenges. So I'm going to call you, but first come first. Who want to come first then?
I guess I'll speak first then to pass my time. I believe that most of us could relate to the challenge that I have faced as a first generation student, a college student, I would say, going from middle school to high school, my English and vocabularies were not so great. This resulted in a low confidence level on my part. And there were many school programs trying to help us fill a college application and file FAFSA program, no doubt. But because of my confidence level that I have experienced, I just go along with everything they say, listen to the instruction, do as they say. And I did not ask questions on their authorities. I did not ask any clarifications, and I did not ask for help. I just stayed quiet on it. And I would have to do extensive research on my part to understand what is expected of me through colleges and FAFSA. And this was a challenge for me because my confidence level was low, and there weren't many Chin people around when we came to United States around 2008. So there weren't a lot of people to help me and the college process, and that was a big challenge for me on my part.
Can I go now? Yeah, okay. Yeah, along with Vanta, I could share most of your challenges, the challenges that you faced. And on top of that, I would like to add the different education system because, of course, the education system we have in Burma and the education system here in America is like, I would say, like pretty much upside down. So that's one of the most challenges that I've faced, and also cultural shock. And yes, as a young person, I would say time management as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Going off of what they said, for me is definitely a lack of resources as well, and understanding that there are a lot of like resources that we didn't know about, or even had a clue that they exist. So with I could have gotten like 21st century scholarship, but because that year we recently just arrived, and then I was already in like 8th grade, so I missed the deadline, and we didn't know like how to turn the paper in. So just kind of, I guess, like finding the right people and the right resource, so that could have like helped a lot, I think. And so like even now, even though we know how to navigate the system better, like education wise, or other like resources in general, it's still like hard to know like what is still like there. And it's like, since we don't have parents that grew up here or speak the language, it's like it's on us to find all those resources and kind of figure, our way out on our own. So I think that's definitely like everyday challenge.
Yeah, I can go on next. And even though I am one of like, many young Chin Americans, I also would like to just like acknowledge that, first of all, like I may not be able to wholly represent like on behalf of every Chin Americans, but especially since we all have like, our own unique experiences as everybody have already shared. But I consider myself as a 1.5 generation immigrant, which is a term that is used to describe immigrants who may have come to the US at an early age, which I think is all of us here. And just to give like a little bit of background, I was born in like a small village called Dangzar, and then came to the US when I was around 12. And then with this specific term, like the 1.5 generation immigrant, it's very unique because like I think at some point in our lives, everybody goes through like, identity crisis in which we question ourselves, our values, who we are, and even our faith. And something that I've personally experienced or noticed among other 1.5 generation immigrants is that we all often feel like our identity is split, right? As if we live in two worlds at the same time. And I think that leads to us like often questioning our Chin identity and American identity, because it's not just one or the other. It's basically kind of like both. And I think there's a lot of like benefits to this, even because like we're like the bridge, but there is also a lot of challenges that we face. And I think there are three main things among many other things. And one is that we're able to know and adjust to both cultures, like both Chin culture, but also American culture, which is why it's split, right? But I think this split identity crisis seems to create kind of like a blockage between the older generation and or like our first generation immigrant parents or other community members, and I think even among other younger generation. And I think because of this there seems to be kind of like a huge gap, and often leading to misunderstandings, arguments, and whatnot, and that may be why it's often hard to come together at one whole community. And my second point is because of our privilege, we all come here kind of at an early age, so we are able to continue our education, right? But even with pursuing higher education, we've as we do it, we've learned to think critically and basically just learn to question things that we wouldn't normally question, just like Vanta was saying earlier, right? Whether during it's like community gathering or like church services. And this ability to critical thinking is kind of like often treated or like perceived as something bad. Maybe it's because like we've never like learned about it. So I think an example that I'm thinking of is kind of like mental issues. And I think we could go on a lot more details about like, advocating for mental issue, but there just seem to be a lot of like taboos. And my last point, sorry, I'm kind of going off a lot, is because of our identity as Chin, but also as an American, we are able to see a lot of intersectionality, and especially as we interact and connect and build relationships and community with a diverse group of people. And I think this really allow us to expand our worldview, right? Thus becoming like we're more open-minded toward things, and we're able to just like willing to learn. And I think sometimes this open-mindedness is perceived as like a negative thing, especially when it comes to our faith. And in a way, I think that it is also just to protect and preserve our culture. But I think it's really important because we're now in America, where America is pretty diverse if you look around, even if it's all majority white, right? But I think it's really important to embrace those differences. Yeah, thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, you go.
Okay, I can go next. Should I introduce myself first or no?
Hey.
Okay, so my name is Pansy, and I'm currently studying social work from Kent School of Social Work at University of Louisville, and I'm very happy to be here. So I'm gonna go right through the questions. So I think personally, I heard that we talked about language barrier and also access to resources. Those are kind of like one of the main challenges that we face. And I also want to point out personally that I think for me, cultural differences is one of the main challenges that I face, because I grew up in Burma, where the culture and also a lot of system here in United States, like and in Burma, they're very different. So when I came to United States, it was one of the main things that I find difficult to adapt to. Like when I go to school, like back in Burma, mostly like I was really good at memorization. But when I came to United States, I had to learn like critical thinking and so on. And a lot of school systems and how we ran schools is very different than what I was used to. So I'm still learning, but I think one of the challenges would be cultural differences and the language barrier and access to resources. I think those are like I could overcome over time, but cultural differences is one of the challenges that I'm still like trying to overcome. I'm still going like, yeah. Thank you.
Very good. Very good. Who else left? Peter?
Yeah, I was thinking not to speak it, but yes, I have two set of parents, American parents and the Burmese parents. So I grew half of my life in Burmese Chin family and the other half in American family. So the challenge that I faced is that we were thinking Burmese children, we respect our parents so much. I did not mean that Americans don't respect, but and also in our family and our cultures, it's more like hierarchy. Always the dad and the moms are always the top person. We parents are always the below people. So when we raise our voice not accountable or valuable, or it's don't mean anything to them. Especially if the more you are younger, the more no valuable. So in American family, my American dad, talked to me just like a dog. So he listening to me. Anything that I said, maybe it's a random thing, but he give me his opinion as a dog. So that is very encouraging. And I think all Burmese parents, we should better listening to our children instead of just going hierarchy. Instead, in our family, we should better communication. We should have the better communication with our children. That's the challenge that I face. And also another thing is, if I in Burmese community, we usually don't look up or face to face or eye contact. We don't do with each other. Americans, that's what you got to do. You must do 100%. That was another challenge that I faced many years ago, because people might thought that I wasn't really care, for them or etc. That was another challenge that I faced a while back. Thank you.
I think those challenges you face that you share, many, if not all, Chin American children face. The reason I really concerned about your generations, that from Maryland, one of the a relative, she came here in middle school and she goes to school here. She make a statement on her Facebook. Chin parents, 99%, whatever we undergo, our problem, they don't know. That's what she said. Our parents don't understand us, how hard we struggle. That still stays me. And I know I don't understand a lot of my children's sufferings and the growing troubles and problems in school and peer pressure. I never been in high school here. So, and then while talking to the point here, most common problems and challenges we face, for your generation to come up, the parents may not come to solve that problem, but your generation have to come back and, hey, this is the common problem. For example, a lot of people miss the opportunity, like 21st century scholar in Indiana, that's a huge resources, and a lot, millions of resources we and access for us. We stay home, we go to work, we go to church, light door, we done. So I think you can do your generation, we can mobilize your generation. And here, let's spread out the information. Let's exchange idea, opportunity, resources, networking. Yes, that's more than money. Money is one thing, but more than money, that's what we need. So by sharing this information, I think people who watch us online, we have those problem challenges. Let's take it as opportunity to help your generation, the younger generation. And like cultural pressure, what a cultural, and then language. The first time I came to the state, the first 6 months, first semester, I never spoke in the class, because whenever I speak, nobody understand me. I am the only person who knows what I'm talking about. So we all share this problem. So that's one thing, but they need encouragement. You have overcome a lot of problems, challenges, but a lot of younger generation, people who don't have energy to get over, they need somebody who can help them, who can stand by them, who can understand them. So there are a lot of your generation crying out. So there are opportunity we can help. Let's go to the next questions there. not only challenges, and do you also experience discrimination, any sort of discrimination, gender, or racial, economic, social, whatever you think? Have you ever experienced any discrimination in this stage here?
I can
All
go
right.
first on this
Oh,
one.
you go ahead.
All right, perfect. Thank you for this question. I think this question is really important. And yes, I think as a person of color, you know, meaning if you're not white or have a lighter skin privilege, then racism or other forms of discriminations will follow. And I think that there will always be some sort of like inequality or like other discriminative like actions that people will face because I feel like that's also kind of like part of our humanity. But a vivid memory that I have that I can't seem to forget is this. I started middle school and I was just really learning English, and I have really strong accent. But now, as you can like hear, I think my English is like nearly perfect, and in many ways I think I have like assimilated a lot and also like, you know, very Americanized. But back then I was just, you know, starting to learn, and then this other people making fun of my accent kind of like took a huge mental toll on me. I remember I was literally crying at home, and I was just like thinking about it, and I think it somewhat traumatized me. Because like I mean that's why I think I still remember it today. But how I handle it is that, you know, I think there are a lot of other immigrants or non-native English speakers in America, and being able to embrace that difference is, I think, it might be seen as like a weakness or like something negative, but I think it's really important to be able to embrace that. And I think it took me a long time to embrace that, only after like learning the struggles, the collective struggle, and not just like one individual struggle. And I think being able to like learn all about that, and being able to, what I was talking about, intersectionality, I think being able to see that, you know, it's not just good or bad. People come from all sorts of background, and that one thing will not basically destroy you or like, you know, impede you from succeeding in life. And I think that mentality really was able to like help me combat with that.
Very good.
All right, I'll go. Yeah, back to the question. Yes, I have experienced racial discrimination, and it was back in high school. I think it was my sophomore year of high school. It was on the school bus, and one of the middle schooler, he's white, and I don't know how it all got started, the fight, but he immediately threw at me that saying, "Hey, you Asian, I'm gonna kick you back to your home country," blah blah blah. And I was so furious, and I almost responded that act in a way that how would I normally or how would Burmese people would respond to the kind of act, which is like laying my hand on him. And I almost did that, but I was like, okay, no, it's not good. So I calmed myself down, and the next day the way that I try to solve that problem is like basically even avoiding eye contact, making eye contact with him, and sitting not close to him. And that was one of the racial discrimination that I faced. And the other one is, it was in high school, like it was in the building, and I accidentally ran into the one of the girls in the hallway, and she shouted at me using the F word, the African Asian, blah blah. And I was like, huh. And I backfire her by saying that the term that they don't really like, which is like the C cracker thing. Yeah, that's how I handle it. But anyway, yeah, I've experienced twice in high school, but then ever since in college, I guess since I went to a Christian college, there isn't really, although it was predominantly white, I never experienced any kind of racial discrimination because of my color, because of my accent, or because of where I'm from, my background. Yeah.
I can go next.
Yeah.
Okay. I experienced some culture, just I would say discrimination. So it was back in high school when I first came to the United States, and I wasn't really like comfortable eating American food such as burgers or like chicken nuggets that they serve at school. So I was always thinking of like I always wanted to like pack my own lunch. But then I packed several times, but whenever I eat like around other students, they always look at me and like give me that face where like, why are you eating this? What is that? Like, so I wasn't comfortable, so I stopped packing my lunch. But after like a few years, I was kind of comfortable, but I just want to pack my own lunch. So in my senior year of high school, I packed my lunch again, and like at the there's one teacher where she lets her student eat at her classroom. So me and my friends, we pack our lunch and eat at her classroom. And as soon as I opened my lunchbox, which is like just simple fried rice, and she started like making this face, what is that smell? Like, it's, what is that? And then I was so embarrassed. So like I closed my lunch bag and then I just like go out of the classroom. And then after that, I was kind of embarrassed to eat like my cultural food in front of American people. But the way I overcome this is as I grow older and as I learn myself, I learn who I am, and I have to accept my own identity. Like I have to accept it so that people can know. Like a lot of time people react to me that way is because they don't know who I am. And also I wasn't strong enough, or I wasn't encouraged enough to come up and say, this is what we eat. This is who my people eat. And you should try it too, or maybe like introduce them to my culture. So I learned to do that. So right now, even when we have like a certain party or like but what is it, yeah, like whenever we have a party at work or at school, I always introduce them to my cultural food and they really like it. So I think I overcome that cultural discrimination through accepting who I am and my own identity and embrace it and appreciate it.
All right, that was awesome. I'll go next. I would say that all of us have experienced some sort of discrimination and might not realize it. And a discrimination that I face is I'm currently in the military. In the military, there you are called by your last name. So in Chin, my last name is Tang, but in English it's pronounced Dang. And a discrimination that I face is that some soldiers would call me by my last name and make fun of it. And by this, when I try to correct them on how to pronounce it properly or so, they would say, all you Asians are the same, or all you Asians look the same. I got this response because my name was difficult to pronounce, and the place where I'm from, Myanmar, Burma, is not well known to many of the Americans. And I would get angry sometimes, but I am reminded of the Bible verse from Psalm 37:8 that says, do not give into anger or worries. It only leads to trouble. And that calmed me down a bit. And then I followed the instructions by a famous philosopher called Marcus Aurelius. He said, what good will anger do you? Show him his error. I see this message as being angry with the other person who does not know how to pronounce my name or know where I come from. Being angry with that person will not result in anything beneficial on my part. And for me, how I handled it, I see that it is my duty and our duty to educate them on their mistake, show them their error, as Marcus Aurelius has said, and show them their errors, how they are wrong. And there's a psychological phenomenon that we learn in school called the cross race effect. It says that we recognize races that we are more familiar with and grew up with. In this case, since he was a foreign in the American, he grew up with the white people, Caucasians, and he does not have many experience with Asians. So he sees that all Asians look alike because he does not meet with them a lot of times. And this is also the same for us Chin people. Since we came to America and do not see a lot of African Americans or Caucasians, we see them as all the same faces. That's why many of our parents, I would say, see the Black community as all violence and thugs. But that is not true. We just have to live with them more and get more experiences on it instead of forming opinion about them and believing in that. And that is how I handle that. And I would say the other way I handle that is by, like Jessica said, embracing my last name, telling them how to properly pronounce it, telling them that it is a soft T instead of a hard T, and explaining to them that we have two different T's, even though our alphabet is the same, sounding it to them, even though it takes a lot of patience or so. Then I would get out my phone, pull up Google, search up Myanmar, Burma, show them exactly where it is, where I come from. And just like Pensy has said, show them my tradition foods, my tradition clothes, and offer to make them some if they would like some. So I see that when we face discrimination, our duty is not to be angry with them because it will not result in anything beneficial. Our duty is to educate them on what is proper so that they could experience it. And since they are also logical and beings that knows how to think, they will also take the advice and learn from it if they are wise. Thank you.
Okay, I guess I'll go now. So yes, I have faced discrimination, or I would say like some racist comments in high school, just like over little things. I know that high school is not, we don't meet the most mature people there. So sometime over just, it can just be like an item that we use in a classroom or a tool. And they just be like, you people are so annoying. You need to go back to where you come from. And that really hurt. And back then, since I didn't have the mentality and maturity that I have right now, so I'll just be like, and you people are stupid. And hearing those comments, I just like kind of like show them the statistic. Oh, if we're so stupid, how come the top 40% of the students in this school are mostly Asian, and then especially refugees, and how come we have higher GPAs? And how come, even though the language is in English, how come we have better understanding of the grammar? Isn't that your language? Shouldn't you be, the one to help us? But then how come I get, like, I am, even though I have the accent, someone who actually helping the my Caucasian friends on their essays, which is written in English. So just kind of, that's how I dealt with it back then. And just like, right now, it's just like we just gotta like own our culture. That's where they from, that's where our ancestor from, where our parents from, and we just gotta be proud of it, no matter how good we are at, or no matter how Americanized we become. The blood is Chin. We are Chin, and that wouldn't change. So we just gotta own up to it, be brave, and then just remember that our voice matter just like them. And then we have equal opportunity, and we have one voice, and we can make it as loud as them. So just gotta have that acceptance of where you're coming from, and boss at it. Thanks.
Who go next? Jessica?
She was the first one to go. So I think Peter is left if he wants anything to say.
Did Jessica say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so let me just say
yeah.
it.
Peter.
Yeah, I was fortunate that I did not go through high school here. I just did a TOEFL test and went to the college. So my college has over 8,000 international students, and I'm engineering school. Most of the foreign students are in the engineering school. So I did not that much challenge and discrimination, and then from college to my professional career. So I don't face that much challenge or discrimination against minority in the professional environment. But what I face is in our community, Chin community. So back in Michigan, I lived in Michigan for over 11 years, 12 years. So over there, small community. The only people I see is Chin. In Indiana, when I came to Indiana, Matu, Zoto, Mara, Hakap, just too much. We don't even call ourselves by name. Now we call by village or something like that. That's discrimination against each other among the Chin people. That's wrong, I believe. So that should not be called each other, by where we come from. Just call by name or use name. That's all we should use. So comparison between American versus Chin among the racial discrimination to us, we use unacceptable words more than they do. So we should be very much careful in the wording or the language that we use, especially if a lot of Americans do not understand. 99.99% do not understand our dialect. That's very good for us. If they were understand our language, we are in big trouble because we are more racist than other people. So we really have to be careful the language that we use, especially youngsters. We normally call how we call the Black community, how we call the Caucasian. We are more racist than others, I would say, based on the population. So
thank you for sharing, all of you. I was working for the state of Indiana, and one day I called my client. While I was talking, the other end of the phone asked me, "Hey, man, do you have anybody speaking English in your office?" She asked, "Oh, okay, yeah, I think so. What about your family? Do you have anybody speaking well American English?" I asked again, and I talked to it was really anger me. It's like, I already have 1 degree in American political science, in India, like 2 degrees. And I thought I speak pretty, a little bit poor, although poor language, but understandable. She asked me, "Do you have anybody speaking English in your office?" And I talked to my supervisor, and don't take it personal. They just, so I just released myself, and I faced that. And college is much better. I think high school is the most severe place where you face newcomers. Of course, you didn't speak. You started learning English here, language, culture, food, and I think that's why your generation, your younger generation, they need you to coach them, mentor them, and guide them, encourage them, and parents and pastors and leaders and your generation, if we come together and help our younger generation stick together, and it's going to have a lot of painful, where I was really crushed by some youth being called as a gang or something, bad guys. Nobody wants to become a gang, I know. Nobody wants to become a bad guy. They lost the way. They need belongingness, where they are threatened peer pressure and challenges. They have no way out of that challenges. You have overcome, congratulations. I highly appreciate it so far, high school and college now. So our people need, your generation, younger generation need that somebody who understand them, their problem, their challenges, and stand by them. They are looking for belongingness, and they are discriminated sometimes culturally, not verbally sometimes, the mood, attitude. It's very painful sometimes, you know, I experience about that. So let's move ahead and keep in mind, this evening talk is the first thing. It's not the end. A lot of things you got to do. Your generation has a mind. I know the Chin mind. I was born in the smallest village in Burma, Chin state, like 15 houses. I had no school in our village. I have to walk 6 miles every day for 5 years. The first school, 6 miles, no school bus, by foot. I didn't even have shoes. In the rainy, we didn't have umbrella. We have plastic seat to cover our backpack. No school lunch. Your generation, the Chinmay, is nothing less than anybody. But due to such kind of pressure and challenges, a lot of young generation lost the way. I don't want to see that. I am crushed, really, really. I'm knocked down when I see those young generation lost the way. And we got to come out with idea where we can help your younger generation. I see they are very smart, younger. They can overcome those things if they have somebody helping them. So for the sake of time, let's go to next questions there. I've been traveling to mostly where our people are, Australia, different places, or European, Canada, India, Malaysia, and Burma back like 5 times back to Burma. I left Burma in 88, so long years ago. I think most of you are not born yet, right? And your generation, one day from one church, high school student asked me while we have youth camp, Pastor, pray for me. What I'm going to pray for you. She told me, since my 5th grade, I've been cooking, doing cleaning, and going to school, everything. But my parents always press me, demand me more, expect me more, tell me to do more. And she said that when I stand nearby my parents, even in the church building, I felt like being in hell. It touched me, you know. We can't blame the parents or blame the child because of the new environment, the new culture, new situation. We are caught up in that kind of situation. So, however, unless we speak out, we have to speak it out, the reality. We have to face the reality. So tell us where we put you pressure instead of helping you up, where we push you down. Culturally, in the church, in the community, family, mostly where parents, elder generation, push you down instead of helping you. What do you want to tell parents or older generation who grow up in Burma or elsewhere, especially who are taking leadership role in the church or society community? What we could have done better, or what we should not do? Tell us your experience. I think at least some extent you all experience about that. First come first.
All right, I'll go first. This is a topic that is very important to me, so I'll go first with it. Like you have mentioned, parents expect a lot of us, and that's understandable. So, but to our parents or older generation who were born in Burma, please understand that you are our first teacher, our first role model, and our morality and success are based on what you teach and nurture us. And please do not verbally compare us to other kids who are doing better than us at our age, or any other sort of success that you see it to be beneficial for the purpose of making us tough or a mean, for you to use your negative reinforcement to see us succeed. And there's a saying, a big saying, stick and stones may break my bone, but words will never hurt me. But a famous poem writer wrote, stick and stones may break my bones, but words will forever kill me. And this was, when I read the poem, it spoke to me a lot hard, because as a parents, your words hold great power. Rather than telling us who we should be like, who we should look like, or who we should be, or be more of, do more of, being pressed on, as it was mentioned. Please compliment us on our little achievement that we do. Throw away your pride and tell us I love you, because your words hold great power. Tell us I'm proud, or you did something great. Tell us something like that. And your words are very powerful. And if you look back at the gangsters or the thugs as a description of it, and as Pastor Shremang has mentioned, they are looking for somewhere to belong. And if they do not find it in their family, they will look beyond the family boundaries to find who accepts them, who compliments them, who tells them that they're doing something good, uh, someone who praises what they're doing, even though if it is illegal or even if it is against the law, since they receive compliment and positive reinforcement from the other group, they will stray away from their blood family and form new bonds and so on to feel accepted. So to our parents, I say to you, please do not compare us to anybody and compliment us on the little achievement we do instead of seeing our big failure again and again. Thank you.
Very good.
I will go next because I think this question is really important to me too. And thank you so much for asking this question, because it is definitely something that's been on my mind, and I feel like I really actually don't have an answer to it. And like, because like I'm thinking a lot, but also trying to learn more and like have more conversations like this with others more. But one thing that this question make me wonder is, how much do we know ourselves? How much do we know our own history? In particular, when thinking about our history, I think it's so important to recognize how important that is, because like that is what shaped us to who we are today. And also to acknowledge that our history is not only about, you know, ancestral history like Lai Pupa and Demo, because like our history is also part of that immigration journey, right? For example, like me, I was in Malaysia, and when I was in Malaysia as, you know, refugees, I learned a lot because like I went to an informal refugee school, met a lot of people, and that really changed my like the way I perceive like my worldview basically. So I think being able to recognize who is telling our history is really important, and that's why I really respect organizations like BACI and CYONA. They do a lot of storytelling and like digging into our history and trying to really connect, like, you know, close that generational gap between our community. And so I think like going on to like the action items, I like to invite our community leaders to, I think, one, learn to continue working on educating about ourselves. And then two, admit when we don't know or need support, because asking for help is okay. And I feel like that sometimes like asking for help is often seen as a weakness, and sometimes like that is like often weaponized to like hurt others. But I just want to like re-emphasize that, you know, asking for help is always okay. And my third point is to, you know, empathize, learn to empathize, collectively empathize with one another, because it's so easy to point fingers and blame one another. I think just like Vanta has mentioned, I think sometimes we can get really easily caught up in like complaints, and then like, you know, instead of like saying a little compliment, we just say, oh my gosh, like, you know, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, and then that really kind of like, you know, ruin like the children, like the children's mood and like feelings, and that's just really sad. And my last point is to listen, listen to one another. I think Peter have already mentioned it in the beginning, that how important listening is, right? But I think what's more important is sometimes like we listen to respond, like, or react. I think we really need to listen just to listen, do we really hear what their point is? Are we understanding? If you don't understand it, then maybe like rephrase it and like ask them to make sure that you understand what they're really trying to say. And this is something that I definitely need to work on too, because I think we all can get pretty impatient and like just kind of, you know, want to like say whatever is in our mind. But I think it's really important to have that patience and ability to be able to listen to one another. And I think these are things that should be normalized more often. Yeah.
I can go next. I had like a lot of thoughts about this question. I didn't even know what to say because but after like giving several thoughts, I came up with this where like I feel like we older generation and younger generation in our community, we think like we like two groups, but in reality like we're all one community, one big community. So I think that we should be working together. But right now I think our one of the challenge that we're seeing is that older generation people and younger generation people, we grew up in different environments. So younger generation grew up with a very diverse environment where with different races. But for older generation who grew up in, especially in Burma, they're not much like more, they're not very diverse like here in the United States. So who grew up in like younger generation, for younger generation, we, even though like a lot of time when we have discussion or when we bring our opinion or our perspective, even though we have the same goal, we express and we the way we say things are different, the way we express our opinions are different. I think that's what is separating like and making us two group. And for that, I think for older generation, I think as a young, I would consider myself a younger generation of Chin American, and I would say that I need to be more educated on our history, like Jessica said. And for that, I think we need more programs, or we need more like I'm not really sure about like the name of the church, but I know there's some Chin church who let some of the youth go back to, they have this certain program where they let the youth go back to Burma and then learn about the culture. And I thought that was really good because I went back to Burma last summer, and after I've seen like Chin Steak, I like my view on certain things are like completely changed, and I understand more on the younger generation of Chin people. So I think like if we create more of those programs and so on, I think we would be like when working together in like as a younger generation, older generation, I think we would be better when working together. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, I can go. So with me, I think I'm just gonna try to focus on the question. So with parent and children, we all know that there is like a big gap these days. And I've heard of like parents complaining how they cannot, tell their kids to do certain things, or they're not behaving the way they want them to. And then when we talk to their children, they're saying they don't understand us and they don't care about our feelings. And I think personally, what I think is that we just need our parents to be more open-minded, and just like realizing that even if your child is 5 years old and he is upset about something,
it's 10 o'clock.
While it may not be important to you, that 5 years old has a feeling. So you got to be like sensitive to like his needs and really listen when he's trying to like communicate with you. And for example, if your child is upset about losing a toy, and then he's like telling you that, oh, this happened because of that, and I'm really mad, and just like, oh, don't worry about it, that's nothing anyways, go do your homework. Then when something more important and sensitive issue happened at school, they will not open up to you anymore. So just like parents really need to have that mindset that, you know, they need to be willing to learn from their children as well. I think that as a youth, we are slowly learning that since our parents and their parents, our grandparents, did not have the right education and did not have the opportunity to go to school, we understand that that's where they lack in like parenting and their word choice when they are trying to lecture us. We understand where they're coming from. I mean, we don't totally understand where they're coming from, but at least we're trying to understand. And even when we are really upset and complain that they don't understand us, in the back of our head, we know where they're coming from, where they grew up to be. And I I really hope that parents would have that kind of mindset too, that while we may be growing up there for 30, 20 years, but our kids are growing up here and we need to learn how to interact with them and know um how to get along with them and be really, you know, a team. Sometimes they make us feel like we're the opponent, which is really bad, especially when we are, you know, younger in age. So just that open-mindedness and willing to learn from them too and be sensitive to their needs. I think that's what parents got to do to their children. I mean, I'm not a parent yet, so I would hope that they have the mindset and mentality that they can actually learn from their kids too. It doesn't matter how old they are. And like the same thing with like our community leaders with like the gang and this teen pregnancy issues. We already, even when we are care for them and when we're trying to come up with solution to fix the problem, we have like this we already planned how we are going to do it. We think that we already know the answer to this, and when we go up to them, they don't feel the sincerity anymore because they know they feel judged and they feel like they can't open up to them anymore. So just meeting them where they are, it doesn't matter if their past is really ugly to us. It's very important that we just go up there and then tell me, how can I understand you better? Like, how can I help you? Not, hey, I know that you're upset, but I know how to help you. But just that mindset that I'm here, like, let me learn from you, teach me how I can help you, and just really be sincere and empathize with them and being able to put ourselves in their shoes. And I think that's when they know that you really care and you're just really trying to help. Even the most stubborn kid will open up to you, but until they feel hurt and feel until they feel like you are just trying to help them, then they won't open. And that's just where they grow up in this culture. So thank you.
All right, I guess it's my turn. Yeah, most of my points have been mentioned, but I'm gonna like kind of summarize it. All right. So my first point is like educate one another instead of like pointing finger at each other, because like especially it's kind of getting better. I don't know, but the BLM thing, a lot of our parents or elders, the main thing that they see is like I would say, I might be wrong, but then this is my kind of my perspective, is that they only see the things that they destroy instead of like actual what is that, history. I'm not saying all the youngsters know the exact history and the truth about it, but then I think we should, instead of pointing finger at each other, I think we should educate and learn from one another. So my first point is to educate one another, and my second is that I don't know if this is from one of the song lyrics. Say it like you mean it. Say it like you mean it, because Vantai has mentioned like appreciate us, right? I do like appreciation. I do like compliments, but then I don't like getting compliments just by words. I personally would like to get compliments or appreciation like they they actually mean it, you know. For instance, like, oh, monopoly and blah blah, right? But then it's all words. I'm not saying all the elders or all the parents, but based on my experience, I would say most of them, there's a saying by words. They don't really mean it. I could feel that, which is sad. Anyway, and also I think our parents, especially, or elders, I think they should admit it when they don't know, and when they don't understand it, instead of like pretending, because even like there are several things that they don't know or they don't understand what their kids knows. I think they should be willing to ask if they need help, and I think they should be willing to admit it when they don't know or when they make mistake. Oh, hey, I'm sorry, honey, I'm sorry, it's my fault, please forgive me, right? This is a simple thing. And also I kind of mentioned this at my first point, be willing to learn from youngsters as well, like I've said, because of course as elders they have more life experience than we do, but then not all experience are good experience. So with that said, regardless of how many years they have experienced something, it doesn't have to be, or it isn't necessarily a good experience. So with that said, I think they should be also willing to learn from youngsters as well. And last but not least, don't just say, don't do that, or do it. Just explain it, why we shouldn't, or why they shouldn't do it, or explain it why we should do it, or why they should do it. Don't just say don'ts and do's. Yeah, thank you.
Very good.
Yeah, probably me now. So yeah. Yes, our parents, especially Burmese Chin parents, has very high expectation for their children. Sometimes that's a problem in our community. The kids. I have 3 different degrees. One in history, one in computer, another one in engineering. So the reason I'm telling my degree is that what I want to do, right? So what I really would like to do if I have money, I will go for art history. That is what I want to do. But that's not what my parents they have the expectation for me. So they want me to become something the better than art historians. So I went to engineering school. I have degrees 1, 2, 3, but now I have been in engineering for 8 years, more 9 years now. Now I'm transitioning into different field to start my own business. Maybe engineering, maybe not. So that's the challenge that we face in our, King and Burmese, I would say, youngsters, how we're gonna tell our parents. So they want me to have a good title that called engineers, but that's not what I want. I don't really care about the title. What I want is happiness. So they don't know how frustrated I was in the office for 8 to 5 every day. They don't know about that. The only thing they know is my son's engineer. So that is a problem, our parents. I have several foreign friends, some of the Europeans, some of the Middle East, and then others in Caucasian, born and raised here. Most of foreigners, parents has higher expectation than actual Americans, Caucasians. Caucasians, they will let their kid do anything that will make them happy. We are not. That's the major problem. So our parents, we should ask them. We should have them make an option when they choose for college or their career or something, they should make them choose what they want to do. Let's give them priority 1, priority 2, priority 3, and then why you choose it. Then we can guide them. Maybe completely wrong, then we can guide them through the right direction. Instead of putting them through, just go to the doctor, just go to engineer, just go to etc. So that is our children will not success in their career, because they're going to be miserable in their career. They will not be happy. So for me now, I was going to I'm in transition, so I have to talk to my dad for about a week. So a week is a long time. I called why the reason is. So I explained to them. He did not understand. He's old, partially. He's very educated. My dad's very educated, but still put through his, inside his brain and his mind is a difficult thing. But why I do it, the reason why. So I wrote one business plan. It's easier than telling my dad. But my dad's much more, it's like compared to writing the 10 business plan. So what I would like to tell is that when we have idea or something, if their parents has a high expectation, they want to put you in a title. If that's not something that you want to do, don't let it go for it. Take a break and explain the situation. You are not going to succeed in your career. You are not going to succeed in your life. Just tell them before you go forward it. Just like me, you're going to have many degrees. Degree don't do anything to you. Degree, I don't put any degree on my my office or anything. Don't do anything. It's not make you happy. So you gotta choose. But before you move forward, explain your parents and then give them option 1, option 2, option 3. The reason I'm doing this is what I want to do in my career. That's what I'm gonna be doing for 40 years. That's a long time commitment. So yeah, parents, listening to your kid. The last thing is we have to encourage them as a parent. So when I started college, I started with English 1000 level. So I was struggling with writing the technical report. So what I did was I had to write it, and my American dad, had to review it for me. Partially, I was embarrassed. I was already in college, but another thing is that I was very frustrated with the, English language, everything. My dad corrected me, stating that I don't know anything about Burmese. I can't speak a word in Burmese. So you just came to this country a week ago. You can write a paragraph. So you are a lot better than me. I have a degree I'm a doctor, medical doctor. You are better than me because you speak 2 languages now. So that what I mean is we have to encourage them, little thing. Our parents, did not reward us anything we do, but they all usually find us when we did mistake. So we should reward them instead of looking for the, a mistake and punish them. That's our, we have the discrepancy between our parent and the youth in our community. Yeah, thank you.
Very good. Let me add to that. In parents and generation gap, the Chin society since long time immemorial, they've been control the society with the shame and honor. Honor, that's the 2 key thing. They always push their children to be on the top of the society. They always shame of them when they do wrong. And even if that still mindset still there in the church pastor, they still preach a lot of laws, do's and don'ts, not the grace of God. We are in the grace season now, the age of grace, but they still preach do's and don'ts, the law. So that's kind of culture transition we are. And the challenge is that our parent generation is not complaining, it's not the accusing, gossiping about older generation in church community is a reality. Speaking out the reality is not blaming, finger pointing anybody. So I myself understand that I've been in America for like 20 years now, and I been in school for like 10 years, and I still have a hard time understanding your generation's experience. I honestly accept that. I never asked forgiveness my children. Sorry, I fail in a lot of areas that our children, the young generation suffer. However, who is going to change the questions that are we going to expect them change, or are we going to adjust ourselves? So the questions that when I go back to Burma, I went back to Burma some years ago and I talked to my dad. He told me, and that helps me a lot. My son, I'm getting old. I know a lot of things that's good thing, but I cannot change my mind. I'm not like you. You're young, you can change your mind, flexible, but understand me. I know a lot of good things, but what you told me right, but I cannot change myself any longer. I'm getting old, so what does matter? Don't care too much about changing me. He taught me a lesson. So your generation challenge that I'm going to expecting a lot of change from our parents' generation in community, church, and family. Of course, as long as much as opportunity opens door, let's walk with them, educating each other. And then we have to care that your younger generation, we have to help them understand some of the kids, they run away from home. Some of the kids, they hate their parents. Some of the kids, they not connecting well. So your generation, parents, to teach parents how to take care of their children, it's going to take whole years or decades. But you understand, you experience a lot. So we need your generation, is the gap, who can bridge the generation gap. Your generation does matter a whole lot for a future of the Chin community in here, American society. Our time's running out, so last word, whatever you want to say to your generation, let's come up and face the reality. And let's be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Of course, we can avoid being part of the problem, but we could be better the solution. So I know the Chin generation, the mind is God has invested huge capacity. I know. I was born in the smallest kind of village in Burma, grew up, as I told you, eating sabudi every morning. So, but I came here, I studied in Burma University, Mandalay University, India, Delhi University, and then America, like 3 university I gone there. American or white or Asian or nobody is less than anybody. The only things that we got to determine and help each other and pick each other up. So what do you want to send a message to your generation? 1 or 2 minutes, everyone, let's say, and then we're going to close this conversation. First come first.
Okay, I guess I can start with this. So I just quickly want to say that, you know, with being a minority and refugees, of course, there's still a lot of things that we don't know or haven't discovered. But one thing that I've always shared with my friends and my youth members in our church is that I think in order to succeed in life, we first need to know, we first need to be self-aware, fully self-aware, have that self-awareness, have a clear vision of where you want to go 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And when you know who you are and how God made you to be, really stand your ground, so that this society, there are a lot of negative things that come with it, so they will not influence you easily anymore. So know yourself, and then know where you want to go and have that clear vision. And then secondly, mindset is very important. So know the importance of the mindset, And there will be a lot of time when we're pursuing higher education when we struggle, when we have to study 5 hours, whereas our Caucasian friends or our other friends that speak the language only have to study 1 hour. But because of the language barrier and we weren't born here, we need that more time, like the 5 hours, but that's okay. And just know that if they can do it, so can I mindset. That really helped me throughout the college life. And then that's on daily basis, that's the one advice that I live by. If they can do it, so can I. And it doesn't matter, it's all up here. So if you have that strong mindset that in 5 years I'm going to be that person, in 10 years I want to be that person, and just have that, strong mentality. And then the last thing is that no matter where we want to be, no matter what career we want to pursue, just as the Bible tell us, knowing God is the beginning of all wisdom. So not forgetting and have that foundation and that relationship with God, so that no matter what life throw at you, no matter what you're facing, knowing that God is on your side. And if He is on your side, if the creator of this universe is on your side, who can be against you? And just keep pursuing it, going toward it, and yeah, you will succeed. I believe in you.
Amen. Amen.
All right, I'll go. I don't know who says this quote, but I've heard this quote before. Do what you love and love what you do. That's one of the quotes that I walk with in my daily life, I guess. And as a young generation, I think, of course, our parents knows some of the stuff way better than us. But then educational wise here in America, education system, they don't know everything about it. So don't we. But then since we keep pursuing education, I think we should, even like picking a major and picking a career, I don't think we should pick a major or a career based on what our parents told us or because of the money, I guess. But instead, I think we should pick a career or a major based on whether we truly love it or not. If we truly passionate about it, I think we should pursue it. Of course, we should consult with our parents too. But then I've heard a lot of parents that they kind of force their kids to study, I would say, for instance, engineering or nurse, medical doctor, something like that, instead of asking what they actually want to study. So young generation, I think we should do what you love and we should study what we're actually passionate about. And last but not least, one of the verses from the Bible that I walk with my everyday life is that Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Because as young generation here, we're not that educated yet. We're still learning, we're still pursuing education. And meanwhile, I don't think we should be like overconfident in our self or in the future. Instead, I think we should lean onto God, not on our own understanding, so that I think our path will straight, I guess. Yeah, thank you.
Very good, James.
Oh, I guess I'll unmute myself then. My advice to my fellow young Chin Americans to have success in life is understanding what your definition of success is rather than what society is telling you what success is or what your parent is telling you what success is or look like. The end goal for every human being is to be happy and maintain that happiness. And just like what Peter has already mentioned, he wanted to go into art, but he's in engineering, but he doesn't really like that. But through that, uh, through that, you could learn, do what you love, and love what you do, as James has mentioned. And because at the end of the goal, you want to be happy, whether it be through having numerous money, being famous, having a stable career, or a good family structure. but understand that you will never have enough money to be satisfied in this materialistic world. And even if you are famous, your body will return 6 feet under the soil that it was made from. But your soul is eternal. Invest in that and invest in what is eternal and permanent. Be content with your life. Understand that it was prescribed for you, to your skin, to your hair, to your molecular DNA structures, and to the very atom of your being itself is made for you, prescribed for you. So I would advise you to pursue happiness to whatever means possible, but know the consequences that follows it. uh, Understand that what you do will have an effect on you, your family, your future, and your afterlife. So that would be my advice or words for my younger generation or people my age. Thank you.
Very good point.
I can go next. I think success can be like described in many ways depending on each person, and for that, everyone has like different talents. And as a Christian myself, I think that everyone has God-given talent. Um, just because you're respected, just because you have a lot of money, that doesn't mean you're successful. So I would like to say that to my Chin American friends, that always know who you are, because you might not be the same as your friends, or you are unique. So always know who you are and what you're called to, so that you can be successful. By success, I mean that you can find joy in what you do. I think that that's really important. A lot of times, just because you're higher up in your career or you are higher up in your community, that doesn't mean your success. I think that success really is to find yourself who you really are, and to be able to do what you enjoy, what you find joy, and what you love, and what you find happiness in. So I think know yourself, and always uh, know what you're called to do in this world, and always go to that goal. Yeah, thank you.
I'll go next. And there's a saying in American Ethnic Studies, which is my major, and it goes something like, "No history, no self." And when you spell the "no" with the K, it makes sense, because you have to know your history to know yourself. But when you spell the "no" with the N, no history, no self, it's like, how can you understand yourself without understanding your history? And I think this is something that I constantly reflect and ponder upon. And so I like every one of us to continue learning about ourselves and our history, just as I have already emphasized earlier. I think, you know, in like Sunday school, or like in like churches and stuff like that, we preach a lot about God and our faith. But I think moving forward, maybe something we can hopefully implement in the future is to also emphasize more on our historical background. And I think that can really help us understand each other a bit more. And maybe it's because of my major, American Ethnic Study, which have come alive due to protests and endless fights, because, you know, there's no Asian American studies, there's no Latinx American studies, African American study. All of these different studies have been fought through protests. And I think it's really important that you just, like, you know, especially with our overwhelmingly resources that are available, which are all free. It doesn't matter whether you're at college. It doesn't matter whether you are an engineer or doctor. I don't think we all need to be doctors or engineers. We talk about peer pressure and perpetuating that model minority myth earlier, and I think that sometimes I just want to remind you all that, you know, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to be confused at times. It's okay even if you have to, like, you know, take time to process things, process your emotions, process your feelings. And sometimes I hear or see our, you know, community leaders often preach do as I say, not as I act. So sometimes it's really hard to see that role model because like you're hearing something and they're doing something else, so it can get a little bit contradictory, right? But I think it's really important that we learn to be a role model for each other, because we can always learn. Like even tonight, I learned so many things from our panelists, and so it's okay not to be okay, and that you are not alone. Reach out to any of us. I'm sure we all be happy to support each other. And so, yeah, I just wanted to remind you that.
Me again. No shortcut in success, and also that's one thing we always remember. We should always remember. And then luck is very few thing, and hard working is more. You know. So another thing is especially these all of them are still in school. So what you will face in the career beginning of you're out of school, you will face things. What you will face is first of all you will be facing you have confidence or not. That's the first thing that you will face, because the school don't teach you everything. If you have confidence, you will be success. So your manager, your boss will not know everything. So you gotta be optimistical, see opportunity. Sometimes you gotta, if you need to challenge your boss, you gotta challenge. I was, when I was in charge of IT department at Public Lighting Authority of Detroit, I was 24. Someone that has 30 years of engineering experience, I was their boss. So sometimes you gotta challenge your boss. It's okay. They're not always right. Maybe you know more than, especially computer age now, you know more than they do. So that's the first thing that you were challenged when you were out of school. But another thing is, if you are still in high school or something, option that you gotta choose is like me. You gotta have option 1 and 2, and think about long term your career. Maybe it's, I was very interested in art. Art may not be a good choice for feeding my family, providing food for my family. So you gotta go with option 2. Sometimes I go with option 2. I'm very good at engineering. I won a lot of award too. So, but I'm very good at it. That was not my first choice, but I go with my second choice. Even engineering, there's a lot of engineering. So if you want to know what you want to go for, then search for mentorship who are already in the field. Go and ask for help. They will tell you so that you can success. If you don't, then there's gonna be, even if you go nursing, there's a lot of nursing, a lot of things. What you want to do in residential nursing or travel nursing, engineer, you want to do mechanical engineer, all kinds of stuff that you don't know. So, school counselor are not. My engineering school counselor was an engineer. He have a degree in business. He doesn't know anything about engineering. He's just doing his job. You cannot rely on your school counselor. So you gotta search for mentorship so that you can success in life. So yeah, that's what I want to say. There's a lot of things to say, but time's late. Thank you, everyone. I do appreciate it.
Thank you. I think we have come to the conclusion tonight, and thank you everyone for getting involved, spending time, and pouring out your idea, experience, and what we can do together. And as a new generation here, we have a lot of challenges, responsibilities, opportunities, but you can do and you have done, and I totally trust you will do a lot more things in the future, and you are pioneering. God has called you to lead your generation, to bridge the gap, the parents and younger generation, explore new opportunity like Vanta, exploring new territory, and Peter has been pioneering a lot of your generation. And I know I myself been struggling. I did finish my undergrad political science in 2 years. I took like 18 credit unit in one semester. I still work at cafeteria or call center, like 15, 20 hours a week. And when I did my master here at IPUI Indiana University, my family came here. I go to school full-time. I go to work full-time. And I am married full-time. So, and I still always go to church leadership team before I became a pastor, and always engage with community. And always, at that time, social media was not that popular, but email, always write email, reflection, feedback, connection. It's a matter of time, matter of choice, prioritizing. I think you have learned a lot of things. So we have a future, a better future, bright future for you. And your generation and younger generation needs you. And the parents' generation needs you as well. Your generation is the precious, the golden generation we have for the Chin history here. Our parents, they have done a lot. We have to appreciate them, but not necessarily we are happy about their wrongs. Everybody's generation has wrong. It's not only your generation. If from the time of Plato, at the time Plato generation, the parents were so upset about younger generation. So when the parent generation upset about you, don't worry about it. When you're upset about parent generation, there's every generation changes constant. So they never stop social evolution, social changes. But we have to learn how to play the game of generation changes, social change, but the game of God. In God, we are in God's hand. The game is in God's hands and we are on our side. We should never be playing the victim roles, but the victor's role. We are victors in God. Thank you, everyone. So let's talk about future plan. And tonight, for the listener, God bless you all. And nanza te nule par ngai du pol. Mirang tongkan manak he antiam lau silau, antiam te sinan mirang American mirang ra. Korama MP chu loading, congressman chu loading, president chu loading, governor chu loading, America chu ding sirwasi. Only a contract and zero light tone and tone, mirang tone and tone. America Korama MP kan chu loading, America kan chu ding rwasi. Congress ya, senator, president, governor, the lawyer, chief justice, slow engineer, CEO. That's what we see in the future. I'm so happy. I was so upset when I was in New York College, when I saw all of the young generation could not go to college. But now I'm so relaxed. Your generation will lead your generation, next generation, the younger generation, and they will lead. We are leading American society in the future. God bless you all. See you next time.
Thank you.
Bye. Good night, everyone.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.